Hey all! Today we are going to be working with the Valais black nose sheep. This is the wool here. Now this one, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how this is gonna go. I've never seen a fleece like this before. It's very long and it's more wavy than crimpy. And it feels like a relatively coarse fleece, and it does seem to be quite thick with either dirt grease or lanolin. Like it's very stiff at the moment. So we're going to give this a wash and we're going to see what happens. Let me get things set up. Be right back. All right, we have our pot of water. I put my power scour in these pretty little bottles just because I like pretty stuff. And I have a new camera stand, so it's an overhead. Let's see how this looks. I'm just going to mix this in. Put the cart back in the bowl. I love the smell of power scour. So here is our fleece. And I'm telling you, it's very interesting. Now, this isn't actually in the Fleece and Fiber source book, so I've had to go to the internet for information on it. I'm just going to pull chunks of this off as I'm dropping it in. And I don't know what we're going to be making with this, honestly. Apparently it felt as good as merino, so I'm going to have to be very careful in the handling so that I don't felt it. There we go. Got it in the pot. I'm just going to push that down. All right, so what I have found is the males are 80 to 130 kilograms, 75 to 83 centimeters at the shoulder, and females are 70 to 90 kilograms, 72 to 78 centimeters at the shoulder. It's been in the Swiss Alps since the 1400s, but it was only officially recognized as its own breed in the 1960s. In Switzerland, the Valais are used for wool and prized for their lean meat. I don't think, well, hold on. And they're cute. The coloring is quite specific. All the spots must be in the right places on the knees and hocks. So apparently it dyes really well. They're shorn twice a year because they grow so quickly. Doesn't have much grease compared to other breeds, which makes it more attractive for working in its raw state. The adult wool, which this would be, is very coarse, so it's not going to be great for next to the skin, but we're going to play around with it and find out what it would be great for. I'm thinking maybe we should dye some of this. So maybe what I'll do is I'll do 2 washes, then I'll put half to rinse, and we'll dye half, just for fun, and see how it takes the color. Some of the best wet felting wool. Now, just for fun, I'm going to find an image because these guys are so cute. This is them. Look at them. They're adorable. All right, so I'm going to let this soak for 15 minutes. And then we'll give it a second bath and rinse. I'll come back if I notice anything interesting in the processing. Back in a bit. All right, so we finished washing up our fleece. I'm going to grab a handful. So this little bit hasn't been rinsed because soap helps dye absorb. So I'm just going to plop it in there. And I'm going to grab some dyes and just plop them in. There is no rhyme or reason to this. I'm just dumping in some dyes. And sploosh them under. All right. I'm just going to add a little bit of heat to that. And we're going to let it strike. And while it's doing that, I'm going to go rinse the other fleece and then we can compare how they come out. So I'll be back in a bit. All right, here's our fleece post rinsing. Now the base does definitely come out very, very white, but this part is definitely stained. This is a very high micron fleece, like you can literally see how thick it is. Each individual fiber is very thick, but it is also super long. And I'm really curious to figure out what we're going to do with this besides felting. I want to try spinning with it. I know that it'll felt and felt beautifully. I've read enough about that. And apparently it makes a very nice fabric. But I want to see what we can do to spin with this. Now you can see there is veggie matter. They're sheep. They eat. They get veggie matter. I'm going to rescue the dyed locks from the dye pot and be right back. Well, here is our first yes please. Look at those colors. Oh my gosh, does it take dye beautifully. Look it. Oh my gosh. That is incredibly beautiful. Like, look at this one. Look at the length of it, first of all. So we got some greens, yellows, oranges, browns. There's a bit of red in there. Like, it is stunning. So yes, for dyeing, 100%. Look at this one, has some purples, blues, into the greens, like all in the same lock. It's like from my wrist to my elbow in length. It's crazy beautiful. And this is the red into the orange. Like, look how it took that color. That is just freaking amazing. Now there's a couple of spots where we didn't get penetration, so that would be like the regular yellow from the normal fleece. But once you dye it, that just gives it more depth to the color. Oh, I love dyeing this fleece. Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. I can't even believe it. I'm so excited. All right, so I will get it into my little net hammock and then get it hung up by the fire to dry. And I'll be back and we're going to try working with this. Oh, I can't wait. I'm so excited. This is beautiful chaos. Like, just stunning chaos. Like, just, oh, I'm just amazed. All right, I'm going to go hang it to dry and we'll be back to process it. Will be our next step. See you then. All right, the fiber is mostly just damp now. Here it is. Now, we will not be carding this. It will not card. Well, maybe on a drum carder. But mostly, we're going to want a comb. So, I'm going to bust out my combs. And I think for this, we're going to want our big bad boys. These ones. So put that aside. And we will grab our big combs. These ones are the Paradise Fibers 2-pitch fine combs. And some of this is still pretty wet, so I'm going to grab the drier stuff first. Oof. I cannot get over the length of this. It's ridiculous. I don't know how this is going to spin up, guys. It's going to be interesting anyways. So let's just load up our combs. And yes, this is generally how I'm working, just kind of sprawled on the furniture. Not very good at doing the ergonomic thing. Okay. I think that's plenty to start with. That's a ton of fiber. When you have to like hold your comb up here so you can comb the tips way down here, yeah, that's a long fiber. Oops. I got this one flipped. Hold on a second. There we go. Holy, we can't even comb it. It's too long. Now this probably needs a set of like peasant combs or something to comb it properly because it's so freaking long. Okay, just want you to fully appreciate how long this is. Like, look it, it's crazy. All right, so this is got them reversed when I adjusted the camera. All right. Like grabbing it just by the tips is next to impossible because the tips are like 8 miles away. It's kind of cool. I have never worked with anything this long before. This is crazy. Like, look at the length of it. All right. Now we got to go back the other way. My normal method of doing combing is to then come down on the comb. So let's see if we can manage to do that. Holy schmolish. Okay. Yeah, combing is not going to work, guys. This is ridiculous. I'd have to get out the hackle to do this, I think. So I could use my free hand to kind of control the fibers. Because this is just, wow. Like, look at how long that is. It's crazy. But I tell you what, this is sure pretty. This would make really good doll hair, I think. Because it's very human hair-like. And I imagine you could style it. Like, imagine that on a doll, right? It feels very human. Oh, this is just out of control. It's just flying everywhere. Okay, so I'm going to guess that even combing is not the right method for this fleece. Just going to diz it off here. Yeah, it's a very, very coarse fiber. This was probably from an adult, but that's not to say that it's not good for hand spinning. I don't believe in it's not good for hand spinning. I think everything can be used in some fashion. Like, I'm wondering if we spun this really fine, because it dyes up so beautifully, if we spin it really fine and use it as plying thread, this would make awesome plying thread. Oh, I just had that idea, and I'm thinking that's what we're going to do with this. I am going to set up the hackle though for combing, because you definitely need to use two hands with this bad boy. But I think plying thread is going to be our goal, because this would make a very strong plying thread. Oops, pulled it off. Look at this. You know what it reminds me of is horsehair. That's very much what it's like. It would make great rope. But I am thinking plying thread. Oh my goodness, it's everywhere. All right. I don't think I even want to comb this. I think we want to just spin straight from the lock. Let's grab one of our dyed locks here. All right, here's a dyed lock. Now, what if we just take, I just have a dog brush here. This is much easier than trying to comb it. It's much easier to control. All right, so we're going to wrap it around her finger and get just the tip there. We'll flick it, get it nice and open. Just grab a little more of it. That was much easier than combing it, believe it or not. And then we can spin it just straight from the lock, and we'll spin it for thread. That's what we're going to do with this, because like, look at the way it takes color. It's freaking amazing. If that color shows up in the spin, like if it doesn't mute with the spin, then this would make gorgeous, gorgeous, really strong thread. All right. And you know what I'm thinking, right? Flicking works. What about if we grab our hand cards and we use the no fleece left behind method? Why not? Hold on a second, I'll be right back. All right, I have my hand cards here. We're gonna grab some colored locks. We'll take one of those, and then we're just gonna, basically what you're doing is flicking but upside down. So rather than flicking the comb to the fleece or the card to the fleece, we're flicking the fleece to the card just to open it up. And then once it's opened up, you can comb it through to get out any debris. Then we're going to flip it around and do the other side. And then once it's opened up, we can just, this one's still pretty wet, so it's kind of resisting. But that was a lot easier than combing. So I think I'm going to use this method. Ow! I just stabbed myself on a comb because I'm coordinated, you know. Trying to find one that's not terribly, terribly wet. This one's good. All right. So we have a lock. We're going to try it with the white stuff now. And I'm going to start on the cut end because it's more tangled. So wrap it around your fingers tight. Nice thing is with this much length, I don't have to get anywhere near the hand card with my fingers. That's not to say I won't still hit them on the card, but you know, it's a little better. And then once you have it opened up, you can just drag it through to comb those fibers straight. Now we're going to do the other end. Wrap it around. Just kind of throw it at the carder to get those fibers just to puff open, so then you can comb it through on the card. And then you have the fibers nice and open. So yeah, I think this is going to make amazing plying thread. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use my no fleece left behind method to open up a bunch of fibers. And then I'm going to spin them, because I can tell you right now, if I try to comb this, I'm going to like rip my hair out in frustration. It's just too darn long. But this method seems to work. So I'm going to do that. And then when I have some fiber prepped, that's just dye. It's not blood, I promise. I'm going to prep some fibers, and then we will take them to the wheel. And we are going to turn this into some gorgeous plying thread. I think it's going to be amazing. So I'll be back in a bit and we'll find out.